just do some Q&A. Anybody have any burning questions as of late? It's like, what do you do in this situation?
Putting my reticle, like, it's like kind of like stuttery. Like, I'm not tracking it. It's just like, oh, he moved, let's adjust. He moved, let's adjust. And
yeah, that's actually a major thing in tracking. You'll see people that will react to their target. As soon as it moves, they're always trying to catch up. And the reason for that is that you're like trying to be smooth. You're focusing on just moving your aim at like one smooth speed. And then you react once they switch. So you're like, oh, okay. But instead, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be looking at your target and just locking onto your target, trying to be smooth. And then the smoothness comes from just lots of repetitions of that. You start to get smoother and smoother. But like, don't be thinking about like being smooth necessarily. You need to be looking at your target. Like, you should never assume its next move. You should always just be watching it and reacting to the player or the target, if that makes sense. Because you can get caught in the trap of trying to predict their movement. Like these shots, right? Like, and then there's instances where you just chain like so many shots together, and it's because you stop thinking and you just start like visually focusing on everything, and it just feels like you can't miss. And that focus is like, just because you forgot about everything, you're just like now in the flow state, just hitting shots because you're so visually focused. It's hard to visually focus. It's not like a chill activity. It's not like a relaxing thing. It's like takes a lot of work, a lot of brain work to visually focus. And that's why it's so hard to do in games. Becoming really, really, really good at the game or anything is kind of sad because you lose your joy in it, because you actually have to become like a robot. You have to fully lose all emotion. And so when you feel these little emotions, when you kill somebody, you eliminate a player, you'll notice it becomes harder and harder to eliminate the next one because you get more and more excited about the clip or about the, you know, the play and like impressing your friends. You start to think about all that stuff. And you know, if you just would have just stayed in the moment and stopped thinking about the clutch, that you would have actually been able to do it.
Toby, can you talk a little bit about tap firing and how that can affect your tracking on the mouse while you're, you know, flailing away?
Yeah, it's a little hard because if you're using a mouse, each input has a small amount, like a little jitter. Like, if I'm not tapping my mouse, but I'm going to touch it, you'll see my mouse move ever so slightly every time I go to tap. So you do have a little bit of jitter when you do that. So you're just not going to be as smooth. But again, it's not about being the smoothest. It's about more like looking at your target. So you're not thinking about the smooth aspect of it. You play enough smooth tracking stuff like this, where like somebody's just running around kind of a straight line, you just do that forever. But you really just focus on the enemy, and you will get your smoothness there. Like, you'll start to find it. But you need to just shoot slow like this.
Double check
crouch down.
Crosshair, right?
What's that?
You don't like even double check the crosshair, right? It's all like just the target, like you just trust.
Well, it depends on the range. So the range does matter. So I know a lot of people think I'd never look at my crosshair. That's not true. I look at my crosshair at longer ranges. So if I'm firing on this guy right here, I wouldn't just use my visual focus center screen to shoot this guy, because if I do that, it's going to look like that. You know, I'm just going to be like totally off. So instead, I am going to line the crosshair. At that point, I get close. I see him. I get it close, and then I look at the crosshair, and then I line the two up. So at long ranges, you are looking at your crosshair primarily. At close ranges, you're almost just solely looking at the enemy, because there's no time to line it up. And you have to just be completely reactive to what they're doing and be able to read them. So at medium ranges, sometimes it's a little bit of both. At like these medium ranges like this, where it's like you see you're reading the player and then you're going back to crosshair, reading the player, going back to crosshair. But it's hard to really like put my finger on what exactly it is, but like I'm trying to read him and his movements as much as possible, but I'm also trying to read my crosshair at the same time. That's a good point. Colin over here says, they talk about the jitter in archery. You almost want to surprise yourself that you let go of the arrow, pull the trigger. Apparently that's the best accuracy you can have. I would agree with that, yeah. Like the least amount that you think about firing, the better off you are.
Is there a correlation between how far the white lines are separating and the spread of the bullets? Do different guns have like the white line spread farther for ones that really have bad?
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, for sure. So the see how bad the SMG gets if you start spraying and then you start walking? Yeah, that's like really inaccurate. See how my bullets are just going everywhere? So those white lines dictate, like, draw a circle around all those white lines. If you encompass those white lines in a circle and touch the edges, then that's where your bullets could possibly go.
Kind of cone.
So this is where your bullets could possibly go, somewhere in this circle. Yeah, that cone is where they're going to land, somewhere in that radius, or circumference, I guess. No, I mean, what's the word for that? Area. The area of the circle, yeah. And you also get recoil. So recoil is different than bloom. Recoil is where your weapon is actually like shaking from, you know, moving left and right and up and down. You see, like, it climbs. If I put my reticle at the base of this box right here, it just starts climbing up. So you also have to control that. So that's why it's better to just pace your shots. And then if you can get it down, if you can time it right, see how, like, I pull the trigger every time it returns back to that line? That's perfect accuracy.
I hope it's okay that it's been like aim centric for now, because I personally been finding that, like, I'm experiencing something that I started calling like good ideas poorly executed, because I have like a game plan, I have like a, well, tactics or whatever, and then I like miss my shots. So I feel like lately it's aim that's actually like griefing me. So I'm so glad that we could do like aim focused Q&A for.
Yeah, that's good. That if you feel like your aim's griefing you, that's usually, if you're being honest with yourself and you're actually like VOD reviewing and your aim is the problem, that's kind of good news a lot of times, because that means that you've reached a level that finally it's not mostly your decision making and your positioning and your movement and all that. It's actually your aim, which I reached a level of that in chapter 5 as well. I was like, okay, VOD reviewing myself, I'm like, well, I'm kind of there with everything, like positioning wise, you know, I had like the better position, I was using good movement, I just missed my shots. And so then I started aim training in chapter 5 a little bit. Got my aim way better, and then kind of plateaued, and I haven't aim trained in a long time, but if I had more time for it, I would be aim training every day. If I was single and didn't have 2 children, I would be grinding Fortnite 12 hours a day, to be honest, 16 hours a day, maybe, I don't know. That'd be hardcore. Overall, VOD reviewing can be really good to just look at your health bar. If you're doing a really good job, you shouldn't be taking very much damage in your fights. Your health bar should be staying pretty healthy. When you see that health drop, it's because you made a mistake.
I guess there's levels to it, because you sometimes say like accept damage, like for example in a bubble fight or whatever, like there.
Yeah.
You wanna take like accept it.
Yeah, but like
I guess it's like, yeah.
That's in like a 1v1 and you're in a deadly range. So there's differences to the ranges too. Like if you're in a range where somebody can off you with a single shot, then you really have to accept the damage sometimes and just go for the hit. Make sure you close that fight out. But if you got range and you don't need to take damage and you don't necessarily need to deal damage immediately to your enemy, you have a lot of options, and you should generally just try to keep your health up. So like, let's just VOD review this right here. Why I quote unquote failed, even though we still win this fight. Like taking damage, I mean, is kind of a failure a little bit. If you were playing perfect, we wouldn't take damage. And what did I do right here? I got pretty heavily focused on one player right here. So I'm like, oh, this person right there. And I forgot about this guy over here. And I jump out of my bubble. If this person was looking at me and they weren't jumping and they had the mythic AR, I could actually die just right here. Instead, I get away with just taking a couple shots, you know. And again, like it's a fine play. It's totally okay. But then we take some more damage. We're jumping out of our bubble. We got a guy at range and another guy both looking at us. Probably not a great move as either. Like, probably could throw bubbles and play, you know, a different cover piece better. We're just doing aim duels right now, which, you know, is generally going to work out for us. But we're in the final 2v2, so it is okay right here. There are also situations where it's okay, right? Because if you're in a final 2v2, then it's not such a big deal. If it's just you and one person, it's completely isolated, then it really becomes about dealing more damage than the enemy, right? Because if you take out their health first, then, you know. So like hitting these shots if I'm hitting my shots and I'm like playing fairly conservative, like see I'm going in and out of bubbles, being fairly hard to hit, you know, I'm taking a pretty good push right here by changing my angle up, my teammate knocked one, like this is all safe. So in a 2v2 that's okay, but I would say overall that was a pretty good fight. I mean, I'm trying to be a heavy critic on it, but I literally only took like 75 damage or something. So until you hit diamond, you still have bots in your lobbies. I think diamond is when it switches off the plats.
Would you recommend someone at my level to play more ranked and actually try to take fights as opposed to, you know, hiding my way just to...
Yeah, because you know you're going to fight real players who actually like know how to fight to an extent. Like, you know, everyone that is playing ranked is... Level. Yeah, anyone who's going to fight you in ranked and actually take a fight, not just run away in a car, is probably a pretty decent player and is going to be a good challenge for you to learn from.
Okay.
So I would say, yeah.
Don't worry about rank.
Yeah, if you're running into a lot of bots and you have your hard time learning much, then I would encourage you to play ranked and just do more VOD reviewing.
I've got a question about 2v2s and 1v1s because I haven't really done that many. So have you just got any general tips for those? Because I had a go the other day doing some like random fills and it was just the skill level was way above me.
Yeah, it can be pretty tricky, and a lot of times what you'll find, even for myself, it'll be tricky because you'll run into people who are in a party together and then you jump in on a fill. So it's just you and another fill versus two people who are trying their absolute hardest and like, you know, using good communication and teamwork, and oftentimes there'll be a better skill because they don't like losing, so they just find teammates to team up with. So it can be hard. So I would say like rapid 2v2s are generally better if you can pull it off, if you find like some members from the clan like to just run that way and like switch teams around and like talk through it. And that's like why we do these trainings also, is like to hopefully give you feedback on stuff that you're missing in your game. Like your opponents giving you feedback can be really helpful because it's like, you know, a lot of times people don't realize what they're doing. Rapid 2v2s can be sweaty. If you're not at that level, I would kind of just recommend playing like either reload or I wouldn't say blitz. Blitz is probably not good. Reload is probably better. And ranked reload can be really good too.
Why not blitz?
Blitz has a lot of bots and a lot of unrealistic scenarios. People love blitz because you get wins, crowns, and it feels good. It's nice little hits of dopamine, but then you realize that 75% of the players in there are bots, and there's like literally like you end up fighting one or two players all game, which is fine. You know, if the queues are quick and the games are 5 minutes, it's fun. But a lot of times you'll be fighting a lot of AI, and you'll also end up having like crazy medallions and stuff. Like people are stacking double medallions, like the dash medallion with the sprint jump medallion that turns you invisible, and they've got a yoink shotgun. It's like, okay, dude, that's just unbeatable in the right hands. And at that point it's hard to determine, it's like, is that guy like, could I have done better right there? Like what could I have done? It's like you just can't do anything to be honest. You know, the guy blends in with the storm, he's invisible, jumping through the air, and he's yoinking you and dashing. It's like, no, that's just not really great training in terms of realism, because it teaches you to just try to run around and avoid the ball of death that's flying through the air, which in most cases isn't going to be happening in BR. Especially trying to use... I mostly struggle trying to maintain good aim when using movement, especially this season with the gloves, grappler, revolvers. I feel like most of that's tracking experience. Thoughts? Yeah, it can be really hard. Your own aim will your own movement throws off your own aim a lot. Like, period. You have to like get really comfortable with learning good crosshair placement. Like I still struggle with lining up shots sometimes, but like the better you get at lining up crosshairs as you're moving, the better you'll become at hitting shots while aiming. And that's the same with kill switch. Kill switch is always going to move your character, and you have to account for that, which is really hard. And that's why aiming with the kill switch is, sometimes you'll just see me completely miss, or yourself completely miss when you're doing this like dodge around thing and you're trying to track them. You also have to account for your own aim, like see how much I'm like swinging my crosshair. It's not good. I need to be accounting for my own leftwards movement or my own rightward movement, and then allowing that crosshair to come over the enemy like that, right? And now he switches directions, so it can be really hard. Whereas like if you just stand still and you just do this, I mean, not really gonna miss. might miss a couple shots, but your own movement is going to throw off your aim massively. And that's why it's really hard to have good aim and movement at the same time. And most of it really just comes down to crosshair placement and being like a little bit more conservative or a little more patient with your shots is also one of the things that I think a lot of people make a mistake of when they're doing movement. They need to like really line up the shot a little bit more so they hit a good shot, because a lot of people will do this thing where they're like doing this crazy movement and they're like, you know, they're like just whipping onto targets and like, okay, and they rush the shot like that when really they could go like that, right? And now they get double the damage, triple the damage when they just take that second to actually hit the shot, or take a moment just to get onto their enemy. Because when you're doing movement, it also takes your enemy a moment to get onto you, right? That's the point of movement. So like, yes, it's much better if you can hit them right away, but most of us aren't there, and we just need to take a second to get onto the enemy. And a lot of that getting initially onto the enemy, the speed there is crosshair placement. And like even with these guys that are jumping around, if I'm moving to the right or the left, right, I'm trying to put my crosshair in a way that I'm putting it to his right, and then I slide over and it crosses the body. Even when they're moving around themselves, it's still like you generally know the direction they're going, and it kind of like does this slow-mo effect sometimes when you line it up right, and it feels roughly, I mean, not easy, but like you just get better at it, right? Now, if you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, go ahead and hit that like button for me. Consider using code TobyWanShinobi in your Fortnite item shop if you want to support me and my family of 4. And if you want to take your gameplay to the next level, consider joining the Shinobi Clan as a member. Master level members get 2 days a week of personal training with myself and other masters. And if a membership's not for you, you can always use the Zero Build Mastery course to improve your skills and watch my must-watch playlist for Fortnite Zero Build on my YouTube channel. That is a curated playlist of stuff that is really, really going to help you improve fundamentals, and it's always going to be relevant. It's a video playlist of holistic guides that are guaranteed to help you. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day. Shinobi out.